Brand disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed by individuals on this platform, the callers plus invited guests, are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with this brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk Free Radio.
Help keep the show on the air. If you want to help, you can send your donation to PayPal. The email is debatetalkforyou@gmail.com or through Cash App, $Sal Showtime. Thanks for your support.
Yeah, just to let you know, Sal, Brother Kevin's in the queue. So he pressed 1. I don't know if you brought it in yet, but I'm just letting you know if you see him, he's in the queue as well. But
I got him.
With that, okay, yeah, Brother Antwan brought this to my attention around that holiday season, when the world is doing their thing when it comes to Christmas and Thanksgiving. And we talked about it and we expounded on it, and it sounded good. And I thought it'd be very interesting to tap into it and to find out from the society we live in, why are certain individuals in the black community are being labeled as coon. And it seems like that word is always being loosely used. So tonight, hopefully, we're going to bring some clarity to the matter and some understanding and see why is this word constantly being used so much in a negative sense. And why are people being called a coon? What's the purpose? But with that being said, I'm going to allow Brother Antwan to speak and share a few words with you into dialogue with the rest of the brothers, and they can introduce themselves as well.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Antwan. I know most of y'all know me from ABT. Honor and privilege as always to be on this platform. First time on the Man Up segment, and so like I said, it's an honor, man. Concerning this topic though, I think it's something that definitely needs to be touched on in the black community, because it's definitely starting to become a problem and an issue that I've started to notice over the past few years, how you have a certain group, and I say it's the majority of the groups. I call them the wokeities, the super duper pro blacks. You could be from a religious perspective or a non-religious perspective. It doesn't even matter. But I noticed that a lot of them are really quick to call somebody a sellout or a coon or an Uncle Tom, or say someone is buck dancing if they don't agree with a lot of their ideologies that they're out there pushing, or things that they actually say. So just having this discussion, what a real sellout is, as far as the black community is concerned, I feel like it's something that definitely needs to be touched on. It's very, very sad that just because, and it's really I think a big problem just within the black community. I don't see many other cultures or communities having this issue where they can't have different thoughts, different opinions, different paradigms, anything in their mind. They can't have them. I don't see this in the white community, the Asian community. If you want to believe something that you're a certain type of way, so you can't be quick to put the person down just because they might not think the way the majority of them or way some of them think. It's just a really sad thing that people are doing out there. But that's why I feel like it's this will be a great topic, and I can't wait to delve further into it. What you got to say, Kev?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear,
we hear, brother. Go right ahead.
All right, cool. Yeah, so introduction. So peace to the listening audience. This brother Kev, also from ABT. I think it's my second time on the Man Up segment. So as always, happy to be here and just to dialogue about this great topic. As far as the topic in particular, like my brother Antwan said, it is something that seems to be unique in the black community, where we're almost expected to have a hive mind where, we have one central ideology, and, in order to function as a body, we're supposed to, promote that ideology. And if anyone gets off track, then the rest of the bees, attack them, or oust them. And, that's crooked thinking. And today, hopefully, we can shed some light on it and, promote the acceptance in the black community of one having their own mindset.
Man, thank you, Brother Kevin. Appreciate the words. Is Brother Stanley on still?
Not yet, but I'll let you know when he gets in. I'll let you know.
All right, my brothers. Well, number one, the first question I will ask, from your personal experience, what constitutes a coon? From your own personal view.
You said what constitutes a coon? I'm sorry, you repeat that question again?
Yes, for your own personal view, Brother Antwan, what constitutes a coon, or can you share your own personal experience?
Well, just in general, just the term coon in general, I don't even like the term, and I don't agree with the term, and I don't think it ever should be used by any black person in America at all. And the reason being is that it's actually a derogatory racist term that racist white people will refer to black people. And we should never refer to ourselves as that, because all we're doing is doing the same thing that back then that oppressors were doing to black people. So why would we turn around today and start doing it to each other? And it's just because of your thoughts. I don't even think they should use the term, period. Like, you shouldn't walk up and say, oh, that brother's a coon. Like, dude, that's a racial epithet. You shouldn't be saying that to him. That's a black person. Like, that's oppressors use that to they talk down upon black people. So why would you use it? Even in the scriptures it tells you that it says, envy not the oppressor and learn none of his ways. Envy none of his ways. You're not supposed to act any type of way that anybody that was oppressing you. You shouldn't be doing anything that they were doing. So you shouldn't be turning around and calling nobody a coon, just in general. So the term that I like to use even more so is sellout. Now, granted, of course, people use coon. I know exactly what they mean. They mean it as a sellout. But to me, what a sellout is somebody who is not honest and that truly doesn't love, and and people that are truly selfish. Those are sellouts. In my book. A person who's a sellout is somebody that will hide the truth. They will ignore the truth. They won't be honest with themselves. They're quick to point the finger at somebody or something or some other people. Those to me are sellouts. Sellouts are the ones who destroy within. Those are sellouts. Just because somebody has as long as you're not hurt, if people like. Just having a different opinion doesn't hurt somebody. It doesn't physically hurt you. Just somebody having a different thought, but your mind, if you're thinking different, but physically there are a bunch of sellouts that can physically hurt you. They can physically hurt you, your mentality. But just having a different opinion, that just means you just got a different opinion or you see things differently. But the sellouts that I see are people who are doing things within communities that are damaging the communities. Those are sellouts, and a lot of it is being ignored. And I'll go deeper into it, but I wanted to get Kev's give his input too on what he views as sellouts.
Yeah. On the issue of a coon. I also think, in addition to what you said, Antwan, about it meaning a sellout, I also think it means a black individual who plays the black stereotypes, either amidst our own or in front of white people. So, case in point, if the black stereotype is that we're loud and disorderly, if we act that out, particularly in front of white people, then you're a coon. right? But
Right.
people use the terminology to mean, hey, I'm doing something or you're doing something that kind of goes against the black community. And in essence, if you're going against the black community, you're promoting white power. You're promoting segregation or discrimination. And it's actually flipped the way that people think about it. See, the way that I see it is, and I remember I asked somebody this a while ago, white dude. I said, "Hey, when you think of black culture, what comes to mind?" And what came to his mind was, rappers / thugs and how we're typically portrayed in that industry. That was the first thing that came to mind for him when he thought about black culture. Nothing else. That was number one. So if you see somebody out here, black individual who does these things, who sells drugs in his community, you see what I'm saying? Who speaks in a derogatory fashion about black women, right? Etc. That's a coon because that's playing to a black stereotype. If you do things like speak out against drugs in your community, you do things like try to promote black women and not speak down to them, right? You are in essence doing the very opposite of what a coon is. So I just want to add that to what my brother said about sellouts. So yeah, I'll leave it there for now.
Man, those some powerful words, my brothers. I appreciate y'all, man. It just seems like in the black community, the negativity is embraced and the positivity is rejected. I'm going to say that one more time, though. It seems like the negativity is embraced, but the positivity is rejected. That is so mind-boggling. And understand, this is a culture. This culture is backwards. Think about it. Like, for me being raised up in South Sacramento, but that's just pretty much. I'll just be honest. It's the hood. I was taught, or I was trained to think that the drug dealer was my partner. I was trained to think that just because somebody had a little bit of paraphernalia or they was pushing some type of weight or whatever it may be, that they was the good guy. I was trained to think that anyone that spoke against it was a sucker and a sellout. This is a backwards way of thinking. The man who sells drugs in the community, he is tearing up the community. And he looks like me. And I get castigated for calling it out. That is the norm in the black community as far as living in the hood or in the projects or wherever you want to call it. Why is it, as a people overall, when it's time for opportunity or to take advantage of opportunities to do something different, we refuse to take those positive opportunities? Why do we continue to hold each other back? You guys can expound. I just want to say that real quick.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. That what you said is about us embracing the foolishness and condemning things that are righteous or moral. It's so prevalent within the black community. I myself, just looking back on my childhood, just looking up growing up, and the things I used to like, and the way I viewed the world. I mean, of course, I didn't know it at the time. These type of things that I as I've grown older, that I've, thank God that I've been able to see it. But it's definitely a problem, man. It actually.
Yeah, his line just dropped. I guess when he calls back in, he can continue. Go ahead, B.A.
All right. Brother Kevin, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
If you would like to go ahead, bro, you can expound until Brother Antwan comes back in. The floor is yours.
Yeah, for sure. What was the question?
Why is it that the negativity in the black community is embraced and the positivity is always being rejected?
Antwan is back.
Just to let you know,
okay,
my bad. It's all good. It's all good. So, brother, Antwan,
Yeah,
you
my
ready on
bad.
there?
Yeah,
Tap
yeah,
in,
I'm
my
ready.
brother.
I don't
Do
know
your
what.
thing.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but one of my favorite scriptures of all time is and I'll go to it in a second, but just to finish where I left off. Having that mindset is one of the worst things and the worst mindset an individual can ever have as a person. Just you individually, not within a race or within a nationality or culture or whatever. That is one of the worst traits a person can ever have. And it always brings back to one of my favorite scriptures, and I always try to keep this on my mind, and I see it every single day. It's Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 15. It says, "He that justifieth the wicked and he that condemneth the just, even they both are an abomination to the Lord." He that justifieth the wicked. I can't tell you how many times where I see people everyday life, they will try to justify wrongdoing or bad things every single day. And just, keeping it on topic within the black community, it is okay to embrace all of these rappers and and the sad part about it, they putting these people in front of our faces and setting them up as leaders or speakers in the black community when they have no business being anywhere. Like T.I. shouldn't be speaking for black people. He's immoral. His rap lyrics are immoral. He's a convicted felon and unapologetic about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people are not people that need to be said. Like, they justify doing wickedness all the time. All these rappers and stuff, and people will try to justify on the street, well, they really don't mean it like that, or they really don't be doing that stuff. They're perpetuating these messages to our children, and our children are going out there and acting it out. There's a reason why we make up, 10% of the population, but we are responsible for over half the murders in this country. Why? Well, they listen to a whole bunch of music that say that that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a big problem. You know what I'm saying? It's just sad how we will sit there and justify all of this stuff over and over, and then we'll condemn the just people, and those are the people that we call quote unquote coons, or we call sellouts, or Uncle Toms, or you're Uncle Tom. I'm Uncle Tom for telling you the truth. They even Brother Paul said that. He said, "Am I become your enemy because I tell you the truth?" Like, all I'm doing is being honest with you. I'm telling you exactly what the truth is. If I walk up to somebody and say, brother, you probably shouldn't be letting your child listen to that music like that. It's probably, sending the wrong message. Or you probably shouldn't be doing and talking and acting like this in front of your kids because it's probably sending the wrong message. Oh, man, you're an old Uncle Tom. You're a coon. You're not like because I'm telling you the truth. You should be embracing this because all I'm doing is telling you something just. You're condemning me for telling you something just. That is an abomination to the Lord. That's something he detests. He utterly hates it. And for that, he utterly hates that mindset. And none of us should be walking like, we have to always self-check. Like, I have to self-check myself, justifying everything. Like, if I'm saying, like, am I right for doing this? I need to really look at it before I say something. Am I wrong for looking at it this way? Am I right for saying something to him that way? Should I really talk to this sister like, hey, sister, what you doing on social media, dressing half naked, that's really cool. You're doing a good job, girl. Like, I'm justifying wickedness. But then I condemn somebody else who's not, who's modest. Like, you can't do things like that, especially as a believer. But even you don't even have to believe in the Bible to understand that from a simple moral standpoint, that we can see things and be honest about it. And if we take all of our emotions out of it and we're being honest, then it'll completely eliminate these stereotypes and these labels that we're trying to put on people. And we got to stop doing that to brothers and sisters out there who really have valid opinions, but they're just too scared because they're afraid that the pro-black mafia is going to attack them if they step out and say something honestly and something honest about how they feel. Like, Cardi B really shouldn't be doing this, and this. Well, the whole pro-black, oh, she do good, she this, that. The pro-black, they're going to do everything in their power to justify her. Everything they can, no matter how wicked this person is, because they're an entertainer, they're one of their idols, they're one of their people that they look up to. They're going to try to do everything in the world to justify it. But if you come along and say, no, that ain't cool, that ain't right, they want to call you a coon. You a Uncle Tom. You a sellout. you this, that, and the third. Like you can't agree with anything that if Donald Trump did one thing right, you can't say nothing right because you're Uncle Tom, you a sellout. I don't know this man personally. I don't agree with everything that this man has said or done, but that one thing right there, I like that. I'm glad he did that. Oh, you a Uncle Tom, you a sellout, you a coon, you this, that, and the third. Oh man, so I gotta think like that is dangerous for black people to be in. Like it's saddening to me that black people, when they go to the voting polls, that they will vote 97 or 90, some crazy high number for one party, and I'm like, there's no way all black people think alike like that. There's no way that is possible, and that's dangerous for black people. Not to say in the political sense, because I don't care what you are and all that stuff. I think we're a long way away as a people before we even need to be even delving deep into that stuff. But I feel like we still got to get our own homes in order first. But it's just like that mindset. Like it is really dangerous. It is really sad, and we really got to like be honest about the things that we're seeing. But I'll go into more, a little bit later. But I'll let you go ahead, Kevin.
All right. Yeah. So basically, my thoughts on the matter are that it's a couple of things. First, the reason why negativity is heavily promoted in our communities is one, a lot of our homes are broken, right? And it's something to be said when you look at other cultures. Not to say they don't deal with single-parent households, but the number is quite high for our people. Given, like Antwan said, we make up a small percentage of the American population. So
right.
when you remove the father from the home, you remove a family's protector, right? And even for a lot of women or men out here who have devalued men, you see that this principle still applies. Like a lot of women still want there to be a man to protect them, right? And not to shift focus too much, but when you deal with a lot of women who are tired of the feminist movement, or maybe they are feminists, but they recognize, damn, like I can't find a man who's worth anything, right? The road that one travels when you ask those kind of questions, or you make those kind of statements, is that we have turned the strong man away in favor of the weaker man, or as a lot of people mention, the beta man. So anytime you have a man who is subservient to a woman in a way in the family unit, what tends to happen over time is the woman's gonna grow tired of this man because she wants him to stand up and be a leader, even if she doesn't quite know what that looks like. She's expecting that, and when a man falls short, she becomes frustrated because now she feels like she has to do both jobs. So I work and I got to come home and cook. What are you doing all day, right? As opposed to the man who's takes his rightful position as head of the family, being the one that protects the family and provides for the family. Now, the reason why I mention that is because in the 50s and 60s, black families had more of an intact home. So you had more families that had mom and dad in the home, and dad was on point. Dad typically worked in the factories if they were living in the city. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our grandparents, retired from the factory, got pensions from the factory, and grandma holding it down, right? So you talk to any older black person that grew up with both parents, and they'll tell you, like, man, something changed. Like, we're not as respectful as we used to be. We don't love each other like we used to be. So with the removal of the father and the breakdown of the family unit, we now have a void. So it's like, okay, well, who do we learn from? Because we're not learning the values that we used to learn in the home. Our family dynamics have changed. Mom is getting younger, dads are getting more absent. So who's teaching us? In come a lot of the media. In come a lot of the music industry.
Right.
Movies, etc. You see what I'm saying? Where now we're being taught by different forms of media, and media has its own agenda. They're not concerned with you as a child, or you as a husband or wife in your family unit. They're not concerned about that. They're going to push their own agenda. And unfortunately for us as black people, that agenda has been one of negativity. So when you go back to the 80s with the crack cocaine epidemic that hit black communities at a ridiculous rate, there wasn't a strong enough family unit to say, wait a minute, I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to allow this to be in my community, right? We're going to stop this. Too many of us took that in because of our own economic circumstances, because we broke. We don't have a whole lot going on. We try to get that money one way or another, so we're going to do what we have to do. But if we had strong family values, we're not going to allow the dollar to destroy us, because mom and dad are going to tell us, hey, listen, what's going on in this community is a bad thing, but we're not going to lower our principles. So because we have this as our culture and we have this as what is feeding our mind, that has become the culture that we adhere to, and unfortunately it's a culture of negativity. Now, here's the other thing, and this would be my last point on this question. The reason why this culture is so strong, and the reason why too many of us as black people fall for it hook, line, and sinker, is because we don't have a strong enough counterculture. See, yes, there's black people out here who are engineers, who are doctors, who are scientists, but that has no street cred whatsoever. Nobody gives a damn for on the street level that you're a doctor. Yeah, that's nice, but I'm not gonna have a whole lot of following. Like, hey man, I'm not gonna worry about these drug deals over here because I'm trying to be a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? And you should try to be a lawyer too. Like, there's not enough following. Yes, we know it's the right thing to do, but it's not cool to want to pursue that in the way that it's cool to try to be an athlete or a rapper. So until we as black people have a strong enough counterculture to where trying to be a drug dealer, trying to be a negative rapper is not what we just readily pursue because that's cool to do, then we're going to continue to walk down this path of negativity.
Just to let you know, BA, we do have a caller standing by whenever you're ready. Two callers standing by.
We'll take that caller. Okay, we'll take those callers in just a second. That was some fire, Brother Kevin. That was some straight fire, my man, Antwan. You know, from what I'm listening to, I came to the terms to where constructive criticism, it just seems like in the black community, that constructive criticism is always rejected. We don't want to get up and do right as a whole. The divide and conquer tactic is very relevant in our community, and it's very unfortunate. And you brought up the family structure. Why are black fathers undervalued and unappreciated? Why is that?
You said why are black fathers undervalued and unappreciated?
Yeah.
I think that's just, like how Kevin said, just the breaking up of the homes, it being the biggest problem. And it's not even, I think it's spreading. It's not even just black fathers. I think it's just fatherhood in general. Like, they're making it seems like society is making it really, really hard to let a man be a father in this society. It's becoming, more difficult. I'm not saying it can't be done. We're all doing it, but it's just making it difficult. And if you don't have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, it can go right by you. And I think it's just an attack just on fatherhood, and where they're trying to, society's making everything more matriarchal, and in the homes where the mother's running everything, and us as blacks, I know we have a big time problem with. I know I don't know how it happened, when it started. I can't put my finger on one particular thing where it just became like we got to worship our mothers and our grandmothers and all this stuff, because I love my mom, my grandma too. And it's almost like, they always tell you the stories about how people resented their fathers, and like a lot of guys don't even know the full story about their father or the father and their mother's relationship. They don't even know everything that happened or anything. It's always like they get these stories, even through movies, like how Kel said, through narratives that we have on shows. And anytime you see your favorite athlete, they always blasting talking about their mom. And anytime you see a strong father from one of these athletes, they always trying to put him down and talk bad about him, no matter how good he's done with that kid and how, successful that child is. They're going to try to way to, to make fun of him, talking bad about him. He's probably not a good father. LeVar Ball is probably the best example of how people just talk bad about him. Like, this man has 3 children that are about to have 3 kids that are millionaires. They respect their father. He leading the way. Yeah, he might be loud. He may not talk the way, but he's a strong. He's a strong, male figure in his household. His kids respect him. He provided for these kids. He led by example with them, and they all grew up to be successful, grown up to be successful young men in society. But let's just bash him. Oh, he's too controlling. He's too this. He's too that. He's too that. When Kevin Durant won the NBA Finals and his mama snatching him up by his face on national TV, look at me. And she just snatching like, oh, everybody, look how much his mother loves him. Look how much. And I'm like, man, this is such a double standard. That's one of the big problems that I see. It's like they're wanting to push more of that matriarchal, big mama's house stuff, and everybody love their big mama. But at the same time, like Kel was saying, back in the day, it didn't work like that. My great grandmother used to tell me stories about, her father and like how he ran things. Like he ended up having to leave his wife, and he took care of everybody in the house, and he did everything. He was the man of the house. But that's how things were back then. And then it kind of like it all flipped script to where to where we're at today. It's the complete opposite. I know, the government and everything makes it a lot easier for women to, financially be able to take care of a child, as they're growing up. And it makes it a lot easier to them and gives them more motivation. So when they do have these, kids out of wedlock, it makes it easy for him. Like, oh, well, I can just keep this. I can still have my, I can. If it don't work out with me and this guy, then I know I'm gonna have a child. Then he's gonna be with me, and he's gonna grow up without a father and all stuff. And it just starts a cycle, and it's really bad. But at the end of the day, we'll be like, we'll be getting called sellouts if we tell people like, no, a big problem for us isn't police brutality. Like how many people done got their behind whooped, shot, and killed by the police officer? 99 times out of 100, you're gonna say no. But if I ask you how many people who don't have a father in their life, a lot of that time you're gonna say I know a whole bunch of people who don't have it. But they'll call me a coon and a sellout when I say that's not a big problem. Like, yes, I'm not saying that never happens. Yes, it does happen. I've been profiled and stopped before. Yeah, I know it happens. I know it goes on, but that ain't a problem. That wasn't one of my issues growing up, or may have caused me to stumble in my life and my walk. No, that ain't it. It's our culture and it's our community. It's the things that we embrace, the things we accept, the things that we're afraid to talk about. The child molestation that goes on in the black community is absolutely insane, and nobody ever talks about it. The pedophilia, nobody talks about it. It is rampant within our communities. It is awful. The murder and the killing, they shine a little bit of light on it, but they don't talk about it the way we should. Like if a guy can rob a store, a black man, just give an example, could rob a store, run out of the store, and a police could chase him down, and he might pull out a cell phone in his pocket. Police think it's a gun, he'll shoot him. It's like, oh, why you shooting? They'll be on the news for 3 months. And in them 3 months, we probably done killed each other in Chicago, Baltimore, Oakland, South Central, Miami, all these places. We probably done shot each other within them 3 months. And the only thing you see on TV is that one little incident. In the month, we probably done killed each other thousands of times, in those cities alone. And nobody bats an eye. Nobody talks about it. And just want to ignore it. But if I bring it up, something that's so astronomical like that, I'm a coon. I'm going to tell like, oh, you just want to say, like, no, I don't. Like, I understand that's a tragedy. It probably shouldn't happen. But for one, he probably shouldn't have been robbing no store. Number two, like, I can't turn a blind eye to this thing that's happening so much, and we, it's like self-destructive. We're doing it to ourselves, and I'm worried about this one incident right here. It's all about getting your house in order first. But yeah, that's all I got on that one.
Yeah, and to the point about getting your house in order first. I think that's a powerful point that we need to remember, because when we think about why it is that the father is demonized, by society, by American society, that is, or really Western society, I think it's a couple of things. It's one, if our house isn't in order, then we're susceptible to programming, right? Like we spoke about before. If
Right.
we don't have a counterculture, and to combat the culture that is teaching us, then we don't have any defense. So our fathers were our defense, right? Husbands were the defense of the wives, as Antwan talked about when he gave the account of his grandparents, right? Like, and it's not. That's not a rarity. Like, you talk to any older person, divorce was uncommon, right? A lot of black families, going back again to the 50s and 60s, and even earlier than that, were intact families. If you had somebody on your street that was dealing with a divorce, that was like, whoa, what's going on there? Like, now you don't even get to divorce, because you don't get to marriage. You just have babies out of wedlock, right? So there's that. But again, when you take away the father, and there's no intact family, then now we have a culture out here that's teaching us. And because we don't have a counterculture strong enough to combat that, then we'll learn whatever lessons, whatever teachings that the society at large has for us. Now, another thing, when we talk about fathers and why many of us are being demonized, it's also a pendulum swing from prior to the feminist movement, because although families were intact, you did have certain fathers, regardless of race, racial ethnicity, who did abuse their power, right? And a lot of women who were oppressed within their own homes. So here come the feminist movement. Feminist movement, there's a lot of angles to this, but one of the angles at a surface level is you have women who are trying to rise up in order to have a voice. Certain things make entire sense. Like when you have a woman, like why can't she go work? Why is that being demonized by husbands if the in-house duties are not neglected, right? Women should have the freedom, the ability to be able to go work. But the problem with that on the flip side is like that's what was promoted. But the engineers of society understood that if you break up the family hierarchy and now you get the woman working, then that leaves the deficit, because now there's no one at home to watch the kids. So when you move on further in society and you get to around when the Generation X kids were young, they were called the latchkey kids. They were the first true latchkey kids. And for anybody that doesn't know, latchkey being kids coming into homes without a parent there. So now the little bit of time, the time where you would go into a household and you come home from school and now mom's there, right? And she's educating you or helping you do whatever it is that you need help with or something that you need to be doing. Now you come home, you left to your own devices, and a lot of those devices could be negative. So I think the reason why we see negativity is because we're still in the midst of the feminist movement. But a lot of feminists, a lot of women who are feminists are realizing the error of that ideology, because they're like, damn, I wanted freedom, I wanted an equal voice, but I have my equal voice, but now I'm doing the guy's job. Because when you promote feminism, you see what I'm saying? When you promote feminism and you demonize men are going to take a back seat. So they're like, wait a minute, so you don't want me around the kids? No problem. I won't be around the kids. Oh, wait a minute. So I can't step up and do my manly duties and take care of this home? Okay, you got it. So now women are like, wait a minute, but I don't really want to have it. I want you to have it, but not really have it at the same time. And that sends a mixed message. It's like, wait a minute, am I in charge as a man or am I not? Well, it's 50-50.
Right.
Well, reality is never 50-50. If anybody that's in a relationship, it's never 50-50. Somebody is always the alpha. Somebody is always the beta. That's how it goes. You look at a lot of relationships. If you're dealing with a type A woman or a type A man, the spouse is usually somebody who's on the passive side. Very rarely do you see two type A people together because the two would buck heads. So
that's right.
That's kind of what we see in society. Feminism has produced a lot of type A women who run their households, but they don't really want to run their households. So they get mad at their beta type B personality husbands or boyfriends because they're not stepping up. But if the man does try to step up, he gets hit back down. He gets hammered back down. So we're still feminism. The feminist movement is promoting the negativity, the demonization of men and husbands. And like I said, people are starting to come out of that, but we're still not there. So that's, in my opinion, why we see a lot of husbands, why we see a lot of fathers being demonized today.
And just to add to that, Kat, that's a great point because once that dynamic starts, it continues on to the next generation. So that woman who's in that situation, she's raising a son, and his son is seeing her do everything.
Right.
And be that way. And then when he gets older, that's how he thinks it's supposed to be. Because he's visually that's his life. That's what he's experiencing. And he's probably growing up with his mom and his grandmama, a lot of times.
Right.
So that's what they're seeing. So it just carries on from the generation to the next generation until somebody steps up, and that's when they come in, lifestyle, everybody living willy-nilly. These rappers telling you to go out and sleep with all these women and do whatever the heck you want to do. And without no consequences, but it actually destroys the home. It destroys the family, and the kids grow up seeing that, and they thinking that that's life and that's okay until they in it. And once they're grown, then by that time it's too late. And at some point, somebody got to stand up and say it. But the problem is when people are standing up and saying it, they're being called coons. They're being called sellouts. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. It ain't your fault. It's the white man did this to me. Like, no, we're doing it to ourselves. We just got to be honest and stop it, And everything else will be fine. But that was all I just wanted to add. That was a great point by Kill.
So excellent points. Is that you,
I like
Sal?
that topic, man. Alpha and Beta. We got to do a show about that one. Alpha and the Beta, man. Yeah. Well, just to let you know, Stanley's here. And we also got 3 callers standing by whenever you're ready, though, BA. But Stanley is here.
All right. Brother Stanley, how you doing? Welcome to the Man Up segment.
Hey, what's going on, brothers? I'm just jumping in here, listening to you guys chatting out with the cooning and the feminism thingy. So sometimes I'm like, Dad, what should I tackle? You guys are tackling some really good stuff, and I heard Kev is just going off right now with the contradictions on the feminism movement, on how they shoot themselves in the foot. I always thought that was interesting that when they say stuff like equal, that they don't truly really mean equal. They don't know, they don't agree that it's equal. It's only equal when we saying, okay, let me do this, and they feel like doing it. So they say, oh, why don't we just make it equal? Okay, not a problem. If that's the case, then why don't you just have women fight men in boxing? Why don't you do that?
Right.
Like I heard Chris Rock talking about, there are just certain things that, they shouldn't have a woman trophy for acting. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man. It's acting. It's not like there's no physical comparison. It's dealing with mind and abilities to know how to play a role. That is not something that you should make different between women and men. But when it comes to sports and athleticism, don't complain when the tranny decides to turn himself into a woman, and then he goes into the woman's sport and he's dominating everything, and then you guys start complaining. Oh no, it doesn't matter. It's equal. Let it be. It's equal. Don't complain now. Don't complain now.
That's one hell of a topic you just brought to the table. Man.
That's another topic you got to tackle. Trannies.
But I know we talk about cooning, right? I know it's part of cooning. It's about cooning, though.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the cooning thing is concerned, it's I think it's a lot of double standards. People a lot of times people don't like to take responsibility for the situation. They rather just play the blame game, as if it's going to solve the issue. No, I mean, if you're just saying that the white man is doing all the bad things. If you're saying the white man is doing all the bad things, all right, okay, he's doing all the bad things. What you going to do about it? What you going to let him you want him to stop doing the bad things? Don't worry about that. He ain't going to stop. What you going to do about it? You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you're playing against Kobe and you say, oh, man, Kobe is scoring all the scores. Kobe's scoring all the points. Well, then you want you to score too. Don't play defense. Do something. Don't just complain about it. If the white man is scoring, then what's your score? Why don't you create something, invent something, and put it out there? Oh, well, he's controlling it. Well, then take control. Oh, but they can't. You see, that's the problem. That's victimhood. I think a lot of us don't have faith in ourselves, that we believe that we can be strong enough to make it there. Yeah, huh?
Amen.
Yeah, so I believe that we got to get to the point where we could say, yo, I don't care who's in charge. I'm taking the throne. There have to be a mindset of a competitive nature of trying to get to the top. You don't have to keep blaming people, man. Then if you don't like that he's controlling the seat, then take the seat over. Game of Thrones, baby. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about, but no, you rather just complain on who the king is. Take the king out. That's my thing. Take him out. You know what I mean? Not kill him, but you know what I mean.
If I could add real quick, when it comes to a lot of our people, especially the society that we live in, the only like being a man in society, or the standard of what a man is, we only know what we witnessed. Let me just get into some more detail. We either sit on the sidelines and watch someone dominate, or we take upon the characteristics of those that dominate. You know what I'm saying? Antwan brought up something that was very important in Proverbs. Do not envy your oppressor, and do not take upon his ways. We think being a man is making another man submit to our will.
Mm-hmm.
And so now all of a sudden, we need to get to the point as black men. We need to get to that standard. We have to bring that back into perspective. What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a father in the household? See, these are things that we're not teaching. That's not the norm within the black household. The norm within the black household is how to be a thug or be a rapper. I mean, look what's on television. Look what's on YouTube. Look what's on BET. Look what's on MTV, VH1, social media. You know what it is.
Yep.
But with that being said, let's take some callers. I know they want to tap in. So, Sal, let's see what the callers got to say. And before Sal gets to the callers, we have no issue with an opposing view. All we ask is that you be respectful and speak your piece. There's nothing wrong with having an opposing view, but we should be able to communicate as human beings. With that being said, I'll take it away.
All right. Once again, it's the Man Up segment. That's right, Man Up and call in. The number's 319-527-6239. Let's go to the phone lines and hear what you guys got to say. Keep it clean, keep it professional. Let's go to 443 Alive.
Hey, Sal, this is Brother Mercy. How you doing, man?
Well, pretty good, man.
Yo,
hey,
what's up,
brother.
Mercy?
Yeah,
What's
man,
up,
I got something. Yeah, I got something to say. Brothers, let me tell you, I love all of you. Let me say something. You'll be surprised at some of these definitions of coon that I found out. It says, when used by white, it translates to nigger. Okay, so a coon is a nigger. Wow. When it's used by blacks, it means Uncle Tom. Okay, a black person who's ignorant to white discrimination and unknowingly suffers with self-hatred. But watch this last definition. This last definition will blow your mind. A black man who only dates white women.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, see, that ought to show you, man, see, brothers, I know y'all brothers are cool with interracial dating and married and all that, but then if you fall into that category, that makes you a coon, because you not supposed to be going after white women. But anyway, I'm not a Muslim, but I'm just trying to help you understand.
Hey, we all experienced that rhetoric when you just read, Brother Mercy. We had all heard it at one time of our lives, so we're most definitely familiar with it.
And Mercy, you know what's so funny about that? Is I was talking to somebody the other day about Colin Kaepernick and his whole situation, and his protests and all this stuff, and I was like, Colin Kaepernick is another example, one of the athletes that they bump out there in front of us, and probably I don't even know if he's really fully black. I know he's raised by white people. I know his mother's white. I don't know what his father is, but I'm like, they put these people out there, and they pro-black, but I'm like, they grew up in the suburbs, they're not from the hood, not from the places I'm from. I said his woman is an Arab. I think Kenny Stills, his wife, another one of the big pro-blacks in the NFL, his wife is white, and then another one, Eric Reed, his wife is like Middle Eastern or something. But they just like 100, they pro-black, black this, black that, black third, and it's a lot of these dudes that are out there in the front. They calling people coons, or this person to sell out, Stephen A. Smith, you will sell out, and all this stuff. You just read a definition that one of the definitions of coon is somebody that dates somebody else. That's just funny to me because they all do.
Right.
And also, brothers, I wanted to say really quick, man, is that my whole take on I'm very critical when it comes to police, and that's only because I don't pay taxes anymore, but when I did, the state taxes, you pay the police to do their job. So my point is this, brothers, we should hold the police to a high standard, because you guys are paying the police, but I don't pay state taxes. So what I'm trying to say, brothers, is this: since you're paying them, they should be protecting and serving you, and not harassing and discriminating. And police department were actually established to catch away runaway slaves. But and I say all that to say, really watch where our money is going, because we waste a lot of money. And one thing I found is that our community, we need to be educated. The reason why a lot of us are going after the rap community and this, that, the other, because we're not giving the proper education. We're not giving quality education. Like when you see Africans come over here, they're not caught up in all that foolishness. Because why? They've been educated, and I'm saying, and that's not all Africans. I'm just talking about the ones, the cream of the crop that come over here. They've been properly educated. So all I'm trying to say, man, is education is missing in our community, and until we put a value in education, I think we're going to continue to have the problems we're having, because we're really not getting the high quality education that we need, so that we can voice our concerns to the leaders and to the powers that be in an intelligent manner and put things in writing.
Mercy.
But go ahead.
Brother Mercy, can I ask you something real quick? And I want to extend this to the rest of the panel as well. Why is it? Because you brought up a good point as far as education. That was one area that I wanted to touch on as we're going forward, because I also see that as a problem. Why is it that do you feel like in the black community there is and I experienced it growing up, like it wasn't cool to be smart. It wasn't cool to get good grades. It wasn't cool. Like you got picked on. You got laughed at. Like you told people, like if you didn't want to be an entertainer or an athlete or something, it wasn't cool. Like, and I saw that a lot, and I wanted to get not just yours, Brother Mercy, but also everybody else on the panel. What their thoughts as to why that could be.
Okay, first of all, we can't ignore our history, and I think that's the biggest thing we do as black people. We act like we just started living today and haven't understood what happened in history. We were denied an education for so many years. I'm a teacher in the schools, and my kids act like it's still illegal to get an education. I'm like, it's not illegal to carry a book. I know your ancestors got killed for carrying books, but it's not illegal no more. It's okay. You're not going to be arrested by the governmental authorities. But I think that has happened to us. And if we try to forget that that's happened, we haven't dealt with it. We haven't dealt with it. We haven't, all we told is to get over stuff. We haven't dealt with stuff. We haven't sat down and said, you know what, how are we going to get over this psychological thing about having us against education, not being educated? How are we going to come over this? Are we going to go through therapy? We have type of mental rehabilitation. What are we going to do to heal ourselves of what's happened to us? But yeah, that's what I had to say.
Can I jump in quickly?
Well, hold on. Before you do, Brother Stanley, hold on. Before you do, I know brothers want to chime on this topic. Let's what we can do. Let's continue to stay on the education topic after we deal with the callers, if you don't mind, because we got quite a few callers.
Okay.
I just want to get a few more in. I mean, my apologies, brother. I didn't know. I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize for that.
It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Brother Mercy, if you're still hanging around later on before we tap out, I'll make sure we'll have Sal bring you back in, because you always bring an interesting perspective into the conversations when we had these types. So, Brother Mercy, we appreciate you. And Sal, we get to the next call.
All right. What constitutes a coon is the title of the show. What constitutes a coon? The number is 319-527-6239. Let's go to the next caller. Let's go to 864. You're live.
Hey, peace and power, everybody. How's everybody doing this Equanimity, South Carolina?
What's going on?
What's going on, family?
Yes, sir. What's going on, my man? Thanks for tapping in.
Well, I guess we, this is the platform and the time to, if we want to have opposing views, to discuss that. But I think as you guys were speaking, we can do so in an integral manner. And I think those are things that would denote us as and reflect our true manhood. And I think you guys have been basically hitting on some good topics. But the reality is, and how I see it, from the term coon, I think it's kind of gotten to where people are hurt by that term being utilized, which we all been, I know in where I grew up, I've been called big head, I've been called little head, I've been called nigger, I've been called all kind of stuff, names, and I can remember the dozens coming up. We heard all types of insults. So it's a thing now where certain things may be thrown at us, and that doesn't mean that we are too above whatever was thrown at us. Sometimes these guys might wear these skinny jeans. Somebody might say, "Hey, you a faggot." At that time they can't just remove themselves from the faggot group. That doesn't mean that they are homosexual, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are fully doing things that are masculine-like. So, and that doesn't mean just because somebody calls you a faggot that they actually mean it in the term. They might just call you a faggot just as somebody calls somebody big head. So, like I say, coming up from how I came up, I was around these types of people, and maybe this is the time sometimes these things are used. But I know with all the talking that I've done on Blog Talk, there is a certain character that, rather than looking and standing up, pointing the finger at the oppressor, right? Because even in education, somebody had the discussion talking about the King Leopold, Cecil Rhodes discussion. The Rhodes Scholars, we got Rhodes Scholars, and a lot of people don't know the association between Cecil Rhodes and black folk, right? There aren't a lot of people that, a lot of us aren't just blooming with the education of knowing who King Leopold was, knowing some of the crusades, the very crusades that started Christianity. And that is very important for our education. You understand? Knowing that us as black, as African people, we come from a long line, thousands and thousands of years of existence, where we actually can go back and look at where our ancestors left footprints. And that's basically claiming our relationship to the Creator. The majority of us aren't excited about that, because why? This place in where we are at, the recipients of the transatlantic slave trade, this is another part of the discussion where some people are insisting, hey, let's not even talk about the transatlantic slave trade. Let's opt out and say that, hey, we never went through that we started out here in America. So we never had to get whooped, or we never had to get treated unfairly. But tell the black folk that today that are still getting the residual effects of what went on years ago, right? That's why we're going through that, because we never gained the power. You understand? There has been an upper hand that has been working here in America and also globally. When you're looking at white supremacy, when you're looking at imperialism, when you're looking at monopoly, when you're looking at capitalism, there's only one person, one man that has done that the greatest to the greatest degree. You understand? And that's the European man. So when we are understanding our nature and understanding Europeans' nature, you know, and I'm like what you guys said, you know, we shouldn't dwell in that for too long where we were just going to point the finger. But I'm a chess player. I've been a competitor at many different sports. If you're getting your behind handed to you from whoever is across the other end of that ball or whoever's on the other side of that line or that, you need to realize that there's something that you have been exploited on your team. That might be your players, but at the same time, he is the reason that you are being exploited. You understand? Our opponent, and we cannot. You know, I think a lot of times we trick and fool ourselves at being able to handle these topics in a responsible manner because we are kind of, and I'm not saying this in a bad manner, but we're tiptoe, pussyfoot around them. You understand?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, that call, actually that call, that call just dropped actually, but if you call back if anything,
Okay.
Okay, guys, you can respond.
Any of you brothers would like to respond? Go right ahead.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. But I think, you know, just to this is another example of there were a lot of things that go on. This is a prime. I can give an example. So somebody like the brother that was just on would say, like, you know, this that and the third happened to a long time ago to some other people, and that's true. But that's not stopping. If I or anybody walk around today and say that ain't stopping you right now today from being and doing everything that you want to be and doing you know what you want to do. Like, nothing is stopping you right now today. You didn't go. Only thing black people that I know of, because I worked in the social work field for a few years. I've been black my entire life. I grew up on the east side of Mulberry. I've grown up and I ain't grow up in no suburbs. I don't know nothing about none of that stuff. The only psychological stuff that I've ever gone through has been from my own people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that there's not things that have gone on before, things that happen. I'm talking about what I've gone through and what I'm going through today. You know what I'm saying? There's no excuse. And when we keep perpetuating that mindset to our people and to our kids, then they never going to think, they're just going to grow up and say, oh, man, I just can't make it. I can't do this. I can't do that. Somebody got that. They thumb on me. I can't make it. I can't do that. I can't do this and all this stuff. It becomes a problem. And that's the part that I just can't get down with as far as, like, because, I mean, there's nothing. There's too many successful, prominent black people. Like, I live just south of Atlanta, and I'm telling you, almost every other store I walk in is owned by a black person. It seems like. I go into the nice neighborhoods, black-owned homes. They live in it next to golf courses. It is beautiful out there. I'm like, well, I guess they find a way to get around all these troubles and things that we're going through. But on my way to them, I pass by a trailer park that's full of struggling people from other nationalities. How did these people get it? It's the mindset. It's how they grew up. It's what they saw, what they went through growing up, and it's a structure that they have. So like I can't agree with the whole, yes, there were a lot of bad things that happened a long time ago, but you can't tell me that black people as a people in America in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, black people had their own clubs. They own their own sports leagues. They had the Negro League baseball. They had their own basketball league. They had their own Wall Street. A lot of people had their own so much stuff. You know what I'm saying? Back then. So you can't tell me that they could do that stuff then, but today, we suffering from some type of traumatic thing. The only thing we suffer from traumatic is what we've been doing to ourselves. And if somebody says that, no matter how true it is, I'm just saying it. No matter how true it is, somebody's like, oh, you a sellout. You trying to deflect all the blame. No, I'm not. I'm trying to address the matter at hand. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in my own home before I worried about what's going on in the neighborhood. You saying somebody riding by my house throwing a toilet paper, a roll of toilet tissue at my house. They ride by once a year, throw one roll of toilet tissue, and I'm gonna worry about that and talk about that all year long, every single day. Meanwhile, inside of my house is tore up. I got all kind of chaos going on in my house. I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm just gonna worry about all this stuff that somebody did to my house years ago. No, fix your own house first, because you had the opportunity, you could do it, you had the ability. More important, you had the power to do it. You know what I'm saying? And like, there's nothing that can stop anybody in this world. And I wish I had people telling me that as a child. You know, like, you constantly feed that into you could do anything you want to do. You could be anything you want to be. You could believe what you want to believe. You could say what you want to say, especially here. So you need to take advantage of it, full advantage of it. And I know far too many. I went to an HBCU, historical Black college university. I'm telling you, you could do it. Everybody, you had the opportunity. It's just up to you to make the most of your opportunity. But that's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, I'll add a couple words. Oh, excuse me.
Go ahead, brother.
Somebody's going to say something? Okay.
No, go ahead, brother. No, I'll tap in after you. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll add just a couple of things. First, I appreciate the brother calling in, offering his perspective. He was respectful, and he was contributing to the conversation. But just one thing I'd like to add is I think one of the things, and it goes back to my initial comments about the hive mind. A lot of times when we as Black people talk about systematic oppression, it's at the macro level, right? It's at a very high level, and if you're up high, it's hard to see details of what's going down below. Like if you're flying in an airplane, you can't really make out what's happening at street level, right? And I feel like we as Black people, we tend to fly high when we talk about systematic oppression, when we talk about racism. And I think we do it because it's easy to talk like that and avoid personal responsibility, right? See, if I say, well, the reason why Black people as a whole cannot succeed is because of the systematic oppression that the European man has laid on us. If I keep it at that level, we don't have to talk about aberrations or trends that are trends of Black people who arose above the oppression. Case in point, to get real granular, remember I mentioned we as Black people typically like to fly high and not pay attention to the details. But let's zoom in on street level and deal with a specific case. One of millions. Dr. Ben Carson from Detroit, Black man who ran for presidency 4 years ago, a pioneer in in the field of in the field of being, he was a neurosurgeon, but I forget what, I think it was John Hopkins Hospital. I forget exactly what hospital he's part of. But dude is a pioneering neurosurgeon, right? Now, this man is from Detroit. If Black people as a whole are not able to be successful because of systematic oppression, how did Ben Carson escape? You see what I'm saying? How did many, Antwan touched on the city of Atlanta, how did many of those Black people who are not entertainers and ball players, how did they escape systematic oppression? Because see, systematic oppression is not supposed to allow you to be successful financially. Yet we have case after case after case after case of Black people, men and women, who have risen above circumstances, negative circumstances, to make something of themselves. See, I'll say this quickly and then pass it back to you, BA. I think it was Brother Mercy that talked about education, and he mentioned the African that comes overseas. Notice, most Africans that come overseas, they're not coming over as single parents. When the last time you seen an African woman come over by herself? Usually it's husband and wife. They come over as a unit. Or if it's one person that comes over, it's the father, because he's trying to lay down roots. So that way he's working hard, get his financial situation together, send money back to the family in Africa.
So the mother can come. That's right.
So the mother could come, right? So
that's right.
African men, melanin men are taking personal responsibility. They're not allowing any issue or any level of systematic oppression to affect them in this country. They're coming to this country, a land of racism, as many Black people would say, and they're doing the very thing that we struggle to do. Now, is it a melanin issue? Because why are these men coming over, thriving,
on a personal level, but yet we're still struggling. Just something to think about. Back to you, BA.
Man, brothers, I got to tap in on this topic. Now, when it comes to the systematic rule of oppression, yes, there is still oppression in many forms in America. And I think a lot of our people, they always use the race card, like you said earlier, Brother Kevin, to avoid accountability. They always use that as an excuse to just settle for what they're dealing with, or settle for how unsuccessful they are. I've seen that card pulled many a times. Another thing about our people, when it comes to the economic system of capitalism, because that's what the brother for his call, he brought that up. And personally, in this type of society, economically, you have to produce. If you don't produce, then guess what? You're not going to be successful. But I know there's other ethnicities. But I know there's other cultures of people of other skin tones, or people of other ethnicities. They get together and they understand how the society works economically, and they all do everything in common as a whole. In California, there's a lot of Mexicans in California. They have a system within their family structure or within their household structure to make sure that no one is left out. It's the culture. That's why capitalism, at times, for a lot of our people, it may seem that we get to show them the stick, because we do not know how to function in this system. We are constantly struggling because we want to be Mr. Individual. I have to have this, and I have to floss. No. In this society, you have to produce. If you do not produce, and if it's common for you not to produce, that's becoming the norm for a group of people, then guess what? You're going to be at the bottom of the barrel, and everybody else will continuously rise above you. Everything in this society is based on production, rather economically or various other levels. So I understand what the brother is saying about capitalism and imperialism. There has been a detriment, but guess what? That is the way we live, and we have to find ways to coexist, or we have to find ways to live in this society instead of always pointing the finger at where the concentration of money goes, even though there are disadvantages. But like Antwan was saying, we have various brothers and sisters in Atlanta living lavish. I hear it all the time. So Are there some inconsistencies in the system? Yes, I agree. But if it's talking about the inconsistencies, right now on a grand level, we have to look at it. We live in America and where capitalism is beyond. If you don't own wealth, those who own wealth, which are very few. It's all about who are the rich and who are the poor. One thing I noticed about a lot of blacks, or a lot of pro-blackers, they're always talking about what the white man does or what the white man don't do. One thing about it, a lot of pro-blackers spend way too much time whining and crying and complaining about what the rich white man is doing, where they fail to realize there are other What the pro-blackers are always, what they fail to realize, there are other people who don't look like them who are in the same boat as them. And one thing about the pro-blackers, they always want to alienate themselves from somebody else. There's various people who are struggling. And we always want to magnify ours, like, we always get this, or we always get that. No. Do I understand that there's some things happening in this society that are not fair to blacks? Yes, it happens. But a lot of our own oppression, we're victims of our own oppression. We cause a lot of our oppression to happen. And I don't have to go to the examples. Just look at the various times to where you just can't always blame the system because we fill the prison houses. Is there a system to where we're always constantly we're filling the prison houses? Yes, you can't solely blame that on the government. The government is to blame, and we are to blame. We are to blame for allowing the government to be as it is. But that's a whole other conversation. So my point overall is that the social structure, is it tainted? Yes, it is. There are some inconsistencies. We all agree with that. There are opportunities. And when you have an opportunity, take it. Don't
sit back and fall back and wait for a politician to get voted in office to give you something. That's another thing that a lot of our people like to do. And hold on, and a lot of them like to complain, but will not get up and register to vote. And do we understand our inconsistencies in the voting system? Yes, there are. But there's proof locally where we live at in our own community. If you vote more often locally, you'll see some effects from voting.
Right.
So now all of a sudden, not only do we always have to blame capitalism and imperialism and all these different types of social structures that have economic systems that normally control the direction where money goes, we have to most definitely adapt. Unfortunately, it may suck, but we have to adapt. A lot of us got to get up and go to work. A lot of us got a job. A lot of us have a career. Some of us have to go to school to earn something. Do what you can. Are there inconsistencies? Yes. But sitting down and always blaming somebody is not going to make anything better. I see various different. I see the people from India. There's a big Indian culture where I live at. I live in Northern California, right outside of Sacramento. They pretty much they have gotten together, and do you know that the way they do things, everybody in that community, from what I see, is doing very well because they stick together and they make sure that no one is starving. They make sure that everybody in the community has some type of way to gain. And it's not only that, the whole family, the whole family structure is totally different. So I see people live in a house, bust up 9, 10 deep. They'll stay in that house for years, and all of a sudden, after a while, everyone that lived in that house prior has came up. They got a house. They got money in the bank. Everyone has a nice, decent job, and guess what? They have a future for their children. Oh.
And BA, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, and answer me this. Maybe Kel, you might know the answer to this too. Why is it that even with the Asian Americans in the country right now, a lot of them were slaves too when they came over to this country. A lot of them worked for little to nothing as late as the early 1900s in this country. Why is it that they can still have their own little communities and stuff, and we still struggling the way that we're struggling, but like for instance, just to get into college, say me and an Asian person enroll for college, right?
Yeah.
That person has to score like 200 to 300 points higher on their test than me, and I can score 2 to 3. I can score like 100 points lower than the average and get accepted. Like I get a 100-point boost automatically on my test. They automatically get 100 to 200 points taken away from their test. Are they just inherently smarter than me? You know, because I know affirmative action helps us out like that. And to me, that's pitiful because I don't think that there's a certain race of people that are just inherently smarter than somebody. I don't believe Asians are just inherently smarter than African Americans or black people or however you identify yourself as, or white people in India. It's not inherently. It's cultural. They emphasize mathematics and learning. That's why every time I turn on the spelling bee, all I see is Indian kids and Chinese kids on the national spelling bee or on Jeopardy for kids and stuff because that's what they emphasize. It's so rare. That movie, Akilah and the Bee, that's the most fiction movie I've ever seen because how many times you can see a black kid on that because we don't emphasize it. Can our black kids do it? Absolutely. I know they can. I've dealt with it. I've seen some of the most brilliant kids I've ever interacted with. I coach kids now in football, and I've seen I know some kids that are brilliant, but it's not emphasized for them to to be educated. That's not the emphasis. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they're having success on those levels because those things last forever. You know what I'm saying? Your mind gonna last a lot longer than how fast you can run or how high you can jump. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna last a lot longer than your music career because once you get a little older and your body don't look the same, your eyes don't look the same, your voice don't sound the same, and that stuff gonna start act a little different. So it's just a lot, man. It is so much. But maybe y'all can answer why we still make the excuse as that we can't do it. When I found that out, I'll never forget. I was so happy. I was like, really? I don't have to score that high. And then the more I thought about it, this is when I was younger, I'm like, I don't want no pity. Like, I can score. I'm just as good as the next man. I don't need this extra help. But these are the type of things that our community ignores, or they'll just, they just want to address it. Like Kevin said, they'll try to fly high over this issue. Like, dang, we don't need to have the scores high. We can still get in college. So why we ain't doing it? This is not stuff that we want to, accept or talk about. We want to just fly high over, like Kevin brilliantly stated earlier.
Well, we got 2 callers standing by just to let you know, and Stanley's still standing by as well.
All right. Okay. So, Brother Kevin, you want to say anything?
I'll just say a couple of things real quick, and then we can move on to Stanley, because I think before Stanley was trying to get in there.
Yeah. I apologize to Brother Stanley. I thought he had to go away. But we'll go right ahead.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'll pass it to him because, I don't think he's spoken yet. So I'll pass it to him if he has some words.
Yeah, Brother Stanley. Yeah, if you're still on, brother, I apologize for that, brother. My apologies.
All right, Stanley. All right. Maybe he stepped away.
I know he sent a message. Yeah, I know he sent a message. He said he probably had to step away, or he had to go, and I thought he had left. I didn't know he was still part of the call.
Yeah, he's still on the phone line though, so maybe he did step away. But that you continue.
Well, go ahead, Brother Kevin, and we'll just go to the callers.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll just say, it really all comes down to personal responsibility. I don't think any issue of systematic oppression, racism, can be solved without personal responsibility. Even back in the 60s, when it was front and center, depending on what we're talking about, black people being hoes, not being able to go into certain European establishments. It took brothers, of many different backgrounds. It took them taking personal responsibility to change an issue, right? So whether and it almost doesn't even matter who we're talking about. If we're talking about Martin Luther King, if we're talking about Huey P. Newton, if we talk about Malcolm X, these are brothers from different ideologies who had one thing in common for sure, and that was take action. They saw a problem in their community, they saw a problem with their people, and they didn't wait on anyone else to fix it for them. They took it upon themselves to do what they can to address problems that they see. The problem with us in our community is we don't do that. See, the other races do. So when you're looking at, I'll give you an example. When you look at the Jews, right? And a lot of my brothers out here from New York understand that when in Brooklyn, Williamsburg, my cousin's father grew up in Williamsburg, back in the 60s and 70s, maybe a little bit earlier, told us that Williamsburg used to be completely black and brown community, right? But then the Jewish people came in, bought up a lot of the dilapidated homes around the area and made the area themselves. If anybody go to Williamsburg, Brooklyn today, go to the Jewish neighborhood, it's in the midst of the Dominican neighborhoods, right, which are impoverished. But yet you walk through these brownstone areas, and the Jews have made it immaculate. They don't deal with a lot of foolishness in their area. They've cleaned up the environment. You don't see the crime in their neighborhoods like you see outside of their parameters. Now, one has to ask himself, well, why is that? How could a group of people come into a previously impoverished, previously crime-ridden area, clean it up, and now the black people just inherently know don't go in their neighborhoods cause a problem unless you want a problem, right? The Jews understand that the only thing that makes real moves, real change, is when you have economic power. So what they do, they went in and bought communities. They went in and bought brownstones, and fixed them up and turned them into their own enclave, if you will. We as black people, I think I saw a statistic not too long ago that said we spend around $1.7 trillion collectively a year. Where is that money going? That's in a positive way. If we're spending that kind of money in this country on goods, as consumers, we should be able to do what the Jews did. You see what I'm saying? But we don't have focus.
Brother BA talked about the Indians out in Sacramento, if I'm not mistaken, how they stick together. A lot of races come over into our neighborhoods, they stick together, and they thrive. We don't have that mindset. And again, it goes back to Brother Mercy's point about education. But for any of us to value education, that has to be valued in the home. And too many of us come from homes where education is not valued. So if it's not valued in the home, and my mom or my dad not really impressing upon me the importance of education, why in the hell am I going to listen to somebody else? It always starts in the home. And again, going back to my previous point, if our homes are broken, we're already operating at a deficit, and that has to be overcome before any other thing could be touched or spoken about.
Yep. Right, brother. You're right. You know what I'm saying? Me being the father raising my children, I will ask you, brothers, in prayer. You know what I'm saying? I'm very strict. I'm very strict when it comes to my daughters about education. There is not open for discussion when it comes to education. I'm very stern and I take it very serious. And at this moment, I'm kind of being vilified for being stern with my children. But I'd rather be caught. But I'm being treated as if I'm Satan the devil right now. So, and I'll be that. Because I know one thing, in the future, my children will be able to provide for themselves. Hopefully, most high willing, they'll be able to go to college and do something productive and make themselves a person in society that can bring something to the table and not wait on someone or depend on someone to do it for them. So if I got to be the devil for teaching my children how to if I'm the devil, if me having that concern for my children's education makes me the devil to everybody else, then so be it. I'll be that. You know what I'm saying? This is what it is. But with that being said, Sal, we'll go to the callers.
All right, we're going to the phone lines. If you're already on the line, just press number 1 and we'll bring you in the conversation. Other than that, on social media, the number's 319-527-6239. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to 916. You're live.
Shalom, everyone. Sal, B.A., Kevin, Antwan, Stanley. This is Sister Ashanti.
Yo, what's going
Good
on?
Good evening, Ashanti.
What's up? Shalom, Miss Fahad.
Peace, brother.
Hopefully y'all can hear me good. I had to step outside. I'm in downtown Sacramento having something to eat. I wanted to say something real quick. Brother Mercy read some definitions, various definitions, probably from different peoples of various backgrounds, demographic, culture, and the word coon or sellout meant different things to different people, and I see the definitions of words evolving. Also, it's dependent upon like where you grew up, your experience, and all that stuff. And I'd also like to say that the definitions of words are evolving, for the definitions of morals, values, standards, and ethics are seeming to evolve, especially in this Western world. Brother Antwan and B.A. alluded and reiterated Proverbs 3. It says, choose not your oppressor's ways. Don't envy any of your oppressor's ways. Over here, us American descendants of slaves, we've been assimilated into this culture so much. And not that we don't have a counterculture. This assimilated culture we are in, it's convenient for us, and it's comfortable for us. Okay? That's just what I think. But another thing is I would be called a feminist. I would be called a feminist in its original sense. But feminism was a white woman's thing originally. Black women, really, they were already working in the homes and doing their thing. They didn't need to have equal status or anything because they were doing their job, working in the home and stuff like that. And Brother Kevin said, hey, in the 50s and 60s, fathers were in the home. Well, check this out. What happened in the 70s, in the 80s, was drugs and the Vietnam War. A lot of our fathers took themselves out of the home. Me, I'm a product of a child molester. My dad went to prison in 1985, and he's been there ever since, and he's not getting out. He took himself out of the home. A lot of our fathers today, I know personally, a woman got dragged for 20 years from a guy who said he was going to marry her, a black man. She had a ring on her finger for 20 years. And then next thing you know, he's like, well, I didn't want to get married from jump. I know another couple personally, they had a child. Child's like 5 or 6 years old. There's no reason why they shouldn't get legally married. But guess what? They're not getting legally married. These are men I'm talking about well into their 40s, 50s. So we're not demonizing black fathers. We're asking why black fathers don't want to be black husbands first. You know, we love our men, we praise our men, and a lot of the times we have to surround ourselves with people who are doing things, because to say there's a lack, that means you're not surrounding yourself in a circle where you're the average person. If you take the 5 people you hang around, you're the average. So we need to change our circles, change our surroundings, understand that the internet, the social media does not speak for the whole. We think 10 people speaking loud about something represent the million, and that's not true. But the coon and the sellout, the people have those things because we have our own definitions of morals, values, standards, and ethics. You know, and I work because, well, if I could stay in the home, I would. But my husband likes his 4-bedroom house. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of our men don't have the opportunity to make $40, $50 an hour, or even be entrepreneurs of their own business and be successful and have what it takes to own a nice home out here in California or anywhere in the United States for that matter. So I know I've rambled on, but we're not demonizing our black men. We're not demonizing our black fathers. I mean, you know, I do want to see our black men encouraged to get married legally. A lot of people, I hear this all the time. Oh, I'm just taking my time. But what? You had a child with this woman, and now the child 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? So continue the conversation. It's a blessed, edifying conversation. I love y'all, brothers. I love y'all. How y'all know ABT rock. I rock with Brother DA. I love y'all, but just remember, 70s and 80s, drugs in the Vietnam War. My dad was in the Vietnam War too, Agent Orange. So a lot of men took themselves out of the home, but we do want them back in the home. We're crying. Our women out here are crying. We're not demonizing our brothers. So with that being said, we love y'all. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, sis. Love you and appreciate your work. Most definitely appreciate it. Any brothers want to chime in real quick?
Peace.
Before we go to the next caller?
Sure.
Go ahead. You got
Go ahead, Kev. Go ahead, Kev.
All right. Now I was gonna say, I agree with everything that was said. You know, entirely. Like it's always a combination of things. Men definitely took themselves out of the home, which is why for you know, which is like for war reasons and otherwise. But if that is truly the only reason, then what we should see in today's society is a massive movement that is pro-man, that is pro-father. You know, women and men in general, in society in general, we should all be making a concentrated, and when I mean we, I don't mean a subset of some group in the corner of the world, in the corner of the country. I mean, just like when Trayvon Martin was killed, you could not miss that story. You could not miss it. That's what I'm talking about. At that level, there should be a concentrated effort to promote manhood, to promote fatherhood, getting fathers back in the home. The court system should make it wildly easy to allow men who have been distant to reintegrate themselves and not have a financial barrier that's blocking them. Because we know a lot of men that I know of, you know, the one reason that keeps them sometimes out of their child life is, dang man, if I go back, like I'm not making a whole lot anyway, but she gonna get me for child support. Now, yes, a man should pay child support depending on the circumstances. And I say depending on the circumstances because I got a cousin who's dealing with situations right now where
his baby mama got him on child support, but this man works at a factory and drives is an Uber driver, and yet his baby mama is literally a millionaire. Literally has several businesses. Why is he on child support? Now somebody's like, well, what's the principle of the matter? Well, if this man is struggling to pay for his own expenses as a millionaire woman, don't you think it would make more sense? Don't you think it's wise to allow this man to see his kids and not provide a financial barrier because you're scorned? You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of reasons for why people do what they do, whether it be woman or man. But if we're trying to reintegrate men back into their homes, and specifically black men into the homes that they've abandoned, then that message should be readily clear to anybody that's looking. The problem is it's not, right? A lot of times when a man wants to get reintegrated into the family, there's a lot of barriers. Not all women provide barriers, but a lot of women do, and the government does as well. So until those barriers come down, I don't see any real big change happening. But go ahead, Antwan, you got it.
Yeah, I thought she brought up some good points too, and it's always a two-way street. You know, there's never been a man on this earth that has made a child by himself. He can't do it. And you know, it all comes back down to even if things happen, like, you know, say the structure of the home is broken up because of war or some type of, everything is not going to be perfect. I think we all know that. We all understand that. I'm speaking just in a general sense, not just in certain situations, but generally, if morality is established, then people are going to start getting married, and from a cultural sense, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If our culture is not pushing a lifestyle of living a certain type of way and doing a certain type of thing, then we won't have a lot of these issues as far as the broken home. A woman should never have to deal with a man dragging her along 10 years with a kid, talking about want to get married, because she should wait till she gets married before they have a kid if the man's going to drag her along. And vice versa. A man should never, not saying that a man should ever do that, because he shouldn't, but I'm just saying, or 20 years or however long, I got all these kids and all this stuff, saying we about to get married, this, that, and the third. No, at some point in time, it's like, it's like, listen, this is my plan, this is what I do. And men have to look for, that's what men have to start looking for in women in general. I was having a discussion with one of my friends a while ago, man. We were talking about the concept of, people giving themselves titles as kings and queens. And I'm like, listen, we can't be putting that title on people. Like queens, like these women, like, oh, she's a queen. What's up, queen? What's up, kings and queen? Like, no, you can't put title. Like, I don't even know you. Like, how do I know if you're a queen? You know what I'm saying? How do I know how you carry yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, how you dressing half naked on the internet, that makes you a queen? Nah, man, I ain't never seen a real queen don't do that. You know what I'm saying? A real queen don't have 5 kids before she married. You know what I'm saying? Like, a real queen ain't finna be drug alone and strung alone and stuff like that. That stuff is never going to happen. And the same thing with a king. A real king ain't going to do that to a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to try to take advantage of her and drag her along and string her along and do all that stuff. A real king is not going to do that. If we really want to get to that type of mindset and living that type of lifestyle, then we got to really put it in action. We just can't use the title. We can't go around saying that it's, any old willy-nilly person is something like that. We got to actually start carrying these things out. So men have to, and to me, it all starts with the man. Men have to get themselves in order, especially in the households. We got to get it in order. We got to start living right. We got to start raising our sons correctly and trying to do the best thing we can. And I know I spoke with BA. We're going to talk about this later. Maybe on another episode we can talk about these super progressive, super duper liberal feminist women that are out there today. I'm not talking about in the original sense, but I'm talking about like the feminist women of today that you see out here today, like these super equality type women, like on every single level. You know what I'm saying? And as far as like not having order, but it starts with men, and so like men like to try to beat down on these women all the time, and they say, oh, these women out here are crazy, they acting a fool out here nowadays and all this stuff. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's your fault because you celebrating some of this stuff. How a woman wants a real man, but the only attention that you giving attention to the half naked women you see on TV, on Instagram, or on whatever else type of platform. And they say, well, dang, I can't get a real man. This is make it seem like it ain't nothing on out there, because it all starts back in home with morality and about living right, doing the right thing, and that's the issues that we're finding. And when you see like a real home and you see real structure, and you know how real homes and real structures are supposed to work, then that's what you will start to look for. Dang, I want to find me a nice, modest woman that we can have a family with. And we can raise kids together. We are and all this stuff. And I want to marry and all this stuff. Like that's the thing that, but our men aren't looking at. They're looking to go out to the club and try to find somebody they can take home for the night, because that's what's promoted, because that's what's celebrated. That's what's cool in the streets, and that's what people are doing. So, but yeah, I think it all starts with the men as far as like how we operate as a whole, and the things that we do. And if we don't ever get it together, then the order's never going to get together, because the women are going to be like, well, dang, I can't find a man out here, because a lot of these men are children, and a lot of these men are children. A lot of these men are the highly effeminate, because all they're seeing is that they're getting raised by their mothers. They're seeing how their mothers act, and by the time they're a teenager, they act in the same exact way. And it's just, and we have an issue. And we got to break the cycle, and it starts with being honest and telling the truth about stuff, and stop trying to point the finger at everybody else. Stop trying to point the finger at the white man. Stop trying to point the finger at this, that, and the third. You need to look yourself in the mirror, and black people as a community have to look ourselves in the mirror and say, why do we keep doing this? Why do we keep doing that? You know what I'm saying? We're like the only culture I know that where entertainers literally speak for us. Like it is absurd. Like why does Steve Harvey and D.L. Hughley feel like they are the voice of black people, and people take them seriously at their word? Like these guys are professional clowns. They're comedians, professional buffoons speaking for you. Like, come on, man, that is absurd. Go take that from what was going on in the 60s and the 70s, the 50s, the people you had speaking for.
Brother, Antwan, you brought up a good point. Notice that there's no one speaking for the working man. You have all these guys who are successful, who have with money. They all of a sudden, their opinion just covers everybody. And that's just crazy, man. And maybe one of these days we need to have a conversation about the middle class men, those who are afflicted by a system of inconsistencies. Is the system a decent system as far as getting the job and provide for your family, have a retirement, things of that nature? Yes, but there are some things that are not right. And most high willing, we can most definitely bring that into perspective, because the working man, the working class, guess what, is being left out. Me, for an example, I work in labor. I'm part of a labor movement. I'm in union organizing. And one thing about it, where the local one I'm a part of, I'm the only brother that has stepped up and gone through the training to become an organizer. One of my leads, one of my officers in my local was like, we would love to have a few brothers in our local, because we have a lot of workers we have a lot of black men and black women at our jobs who don't want to get involved, but they're always complaining. I'm out of all the local that I'm working for part time, all we do is get together and try to find more ways to reach out to people. And I'm the only brother that's doing it. The only brother amongst everybody else. I'm the only brother in my region, in my local right now. I've tried talking to other brothers and sisters, and they would not get involved. But at the same time, they always complain, the white man doing this, the white man doing that. But I'm sitting up here working with Mexicans, the Asians, and various other people who have decided to put whatever disagreements they may have with the system, and they're willing to come together with other people and come together with other people and work together and and so we can all have a successful career or a successful job, or to where we can have decent lives to provide for our families. And with that, Sal, I know I got kind of long-winded, but let's go to the next call. I'm sorry.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with Sal's microphone. I know once before there was a time where he got kicked out of the call and was not able to come back in. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. I'm back, though. I had to call back in on my own show. It's crazy. But we do got two callers standing by, though. So whenever you're ready,
check out this
By the way, we have 2 minutes left in the air, y'all. We have 2 minutes left in the air. So if you want to call in before the time runs out, the number is 319-527-6239. Let's take the caller. 919, you're live.
Shalom, this is Saul Yisrael. I apologize for coming in late. What was the topic?
The topic was what constitutes a coon.
I was late, brother.
What constitutes a coon? That's the topic. What constitutes a coon? What constitutes a coon is the topic.
A coon?
Yeah, a coon.
Yeah,
what constitutes a coon?
What constitutes a coon is in the eyes of the holder. In Yahweh's perspective, we will be deemed a cult because we follow the way of Yahweh. But in eyes of men, men's way is a cult. So it's in the eyes of the beholder.
All right. Yeah, we just lost VA, actually. VA call in before the time runs out. We just lost VA. But, yeah, I know Blog Talk Radio is acting up a little bit. But once again, call in before the time runs out. The number is 319-527-6239. Make sure you call in before the time runs out. Hold on 1 second, guys. A little echo in the background. Brother Kev, you can still hear me? And Antwan?
I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, cool. All right, yeah, we just got to hopefully VA can call in. VA, if you're out there, press number 1. VA, press number 1. But in the meanwhile, anything else you guys want to say, Brother Kev, you can take over until VA gets back. Okay. Oh, here he is. All right. You hear me, VA?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, the call dropped. My apologies.
All right, it's all good. Again, man, we're in the overtime part of the show, so good.
No, I had fell off, so I don't know what happened in that time frame when I fell off for those few seconds. The last caller, did you say anything stood out? Or?
Nah, we can go into the next caller. Yeah.
Let's go to the next caller.
Yeah. All right, so now nobody else press number 1 at this time. Everybody else is listening to the program. I appreciate you guys for tuning into the overtime part of the show. You guys can continue the conversation, brothers, and I'll let you know when anybody else press number 1. Okay.
All right.
All right.
And, is Brother Stanley still here with us, or he?
Nah, Stanley call dropped. His call dropped.
Okay. Well, yeah, man. I'll tell you what. Since my call dropped, I'll let the two guests. If there's anything that you guys feel like that we didn't cover.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to circle back. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on, why you feel or your observations as to why the promotion and the celebration of education is so absent in the black community.
And by the way, fellas, somebody press number 1, but whenever you guys are ready for that call.
Okay, we'll check that caller. After me and Kevin address the question. So let's see. You know what, Kevin? Why don't you go ahead first, and I'll tap in after you. Then we'll take that caller. Thank you, Sal. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So we're talking about education. I think the reason why it's not promoted is education. Education is a slow burn, if you will, right? Like, when if somebody says, okay, you need to be educated, like you need to go to school, the next question someone might ask is, well, okay, if I go to school, how long do I have to go, right? Like, you know, and what am I going to get out of going to school, right? Somebody might say, okay, well, what you're going to get out of going to school is you're going to, you know, get your education, be able to get a job, take care of yourself. Well, if that's the ultimate goal of education is to get a job and take care of myself, well, I could sell drugs and not have to worry about school if the ultimate goal of education is to be able to financially provide for myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, or if I'm good at ball, or if I can rap, right? I just do that because and now I have to spend X amount of years in the educational system to make less than what I would be making in either of those two professions. So I just think it's a speed issue. I think, well, not only a speed issue. I think one of the issues is, you know, we as people, as black people, we just don't have the patience by and large to go through all that. Plus, a lot of our situations just don't allow for that kind of slow burn if every time we come home and there's nothing to eat. You know what I'm saying? Or we got to sit on the floor because bullets are buzzing through our windows. You know what I'm saying? Like, am I going to survive over the next 18 years? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I going to make it? Because my people dying. Like, what am I supposed to do? So I think the only way education could be could be embraced is if our environments allow that to be the case. Like, we have to be in better neighborhoods, and that's a whole nother conversation. Like, how do we clean up our neighborhoods for real? You know what I'm saying? But it's tough. It's kind of like, you know, if you garden, you know what I'm saying? If you plant, like, how you supposed to grow fruit or you supposed to grow vegetables, but your soil is messed up? You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't till the land, you didn't do anything. You just stuck a seed in there, but you didn't check to see if it's quality soil. You know what I'm saying? I apply the same idea to our communities. I mean, our communities, our neighborhoods, that's our soil. You know what I'm saying? And the education is the seed. How in the world is that supposed to flourish if, you know, our soil, our environments are not primed for education or the seed? So I'll pass it to you, brother.
You know, when it comes to I can only share my personal experience. I grew up around. It was the norm to look down at somebody who decided or who chose to embrace their education and to work hard. Growing up where I grew up at, the way that we were taught, or the way we thought, or the way that our environment influenced us to think. Those students who had to go to the after-school programs and do homework and do special studies and be part of these special programs for students who were advanced. The mentality, it was more so of us kind of looking down at them, or, oh, you a nerd, or, well, get out of here. And like Kevin was saying, it's the culture. It stems back to how those students or those children or those people who care more about their education, it depends on their environment. It's unfortunate that it's common in the black community. It's very unfortunate for us to look down upon those who work hard and who want to make some of themselves by getting the education. We have to change the way we're thinking. There's nothing wrong with hard work. Hard work pays off. That's what my grandpa told me as a child. He said, young man, hard work pays off. I think when it comes to education overall, it starts mentally. From what I have noticed, from people who I grew up around and the community I grew up in, now that I'm older and I go back and I think and I see, from what I have noticed is that a lot of us are mentally lazy. I'm going to say it again. A lot of us are mentally lazy. We just go with, okay, I'm going to do the bare minimum. We don't want to put in the extra effort and to work hard. We want to be convenienced. We live in a society to where convenience is all about being convenient. I need this fast. I need my food fast. I need this quick. I got to have this quick. You can't rush your education. You can't rush studying. You can't rush putting together, trying to make yourself better.
Amen.
You have to work hard. That's what I've noticed, that people in the community where I grew up in, it was all about how fast I can get it, how fast I can go grab this, how fast I eat my food. You have to be willing to put in good old-fashioned hard work. And that's what I teach my children today. Hard work pays off, and you're going to continue to work hard, because then when you get older, you learn to appreciate the things you're going to have. And with that, we can go to the next caller, Sal. Hey, Sal, you breaking up real bad, man. We can barely hear you. You chopping up real bad.
Yeah, his mic is really low, but I think he said that whoever pressed number 1 pressed it again. And there are callers online. They had a question to press 1, and he basically told us to go ahead and continue. But I'll just give my thoughts on.
Somebody's on the line now.
Yeah.
510.
Yeah, go ahead.
510.
Caller. Oh, I know who that is.
Hey, peace, y'all. How y'all doing tonight?
My man,
Peace.
Benny D.
All
Town
right.
business.
Yeah. Hey, peace, BA. Peace to the other brothers on the line. Just want to call in and say that I really enjoyed the conversation. You know, Debate Talk for You been on fire with these last few shows, you know. But I think, you know, really been hitting them topics, man, that are kind of like needed, you know, because everybody, I mean, I think the word coon, man, it just kind of gets taken out of context, you know, and we misapplying it, you know, especially Uncle Tom, you know, when you really do the research. But I think that I agree with one. I forget who the brother was, but he said that a coon was like somebody who's selling dope, you know, pushing dope in the neighborhood, you know, doing bad. You beating up old people, you pedophiling, you know. That to me, that's what a coon is, because it's somebody who's doing damage to the community, you know. But I mean, you guys been smashing on a whole lot of good points, man, and I've just really been enjoying the conversation. And, you know, I appreciate it, and I you know, look forward to the many more. And you brothers have a peaceful evening.
Man, thank you,
brother.
Appreciate you, man. Yeah, we appreciate Brother Vinny, man. He listens to the Man Up segment. If for those who are not familiar with Vinny D, he's also on the Social Hub that Debate Talk for You has. A show is called the Social Hub, where there's a few brothers and sisters that come on and they talk about topics such as this one as we're discussing this evening. But they talk about a lot of social topics that's going on in the community, whether it be locally or worldwide or nationwide, only in America. And Brother Vinny always brings out some very good perspectives. He's a good brother. I gotten a chance to know him over the last few years, and he's always been respectful, and I appreciate the brother all the time, man. He most definitely brings out some good things that we're not always aware of. It is always good to hear somebody else's point of view, and instead of always rambling all day. But other than that, I guess we don't have any more callers, and I understand you brothers. I know, Antwan, you're out there on the East Coast, or in Atlanta, rather, on the down south, rather. And I don't want to hold up the brothers. I appreciate you brothers for coming out. And we can get ready to do closing statements if you guys don't mind. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody got lives to live and jobs and families to provide for. And we can always come back and have more power bills such as this one.
Absolutely. Yeah, my closing statement. I'll go ahead and BA appreciate you allowing me to come on here. Kev, I appreciate you. Stan, I know you weren't able to come on for long, and I got a lot of respect for those brothers. They're two of the most logical and wisest brothers I know, as far as their mindset, and I'm glad they were able to be on. Sal, of course, for the platform, appreciate it. I just want to say, in closing, that I want the listening audience to be cognizant of their surroundings now. So when they see things, I want you to really notice this. You'll notice that a lot of these people that go around claiming that they're woke and they're these super pro-blacks, super duper progressive type, victim mentality mindset black people. Just notice their mindset. Notice how they'll never call, they'll call a brother a coon if he dates outside of his race. They'll call a brother a coon if he is if he listens to country music. They'll call a brother a coon if he likes rock music or rock and roll music. They'll call a brother a coon if he is a Republican or falls in, or he may be a conservative as far as the way he votes. They'll call a brother a coon if he likes to hunt or do something that may not be deemed cool as far as the culture or in the hood. They'll call that brother a coon. Or if a brother has good grades and cares about his studies and doesn't like sports, that brother is a coon. But they'll never, ever call the local drug dealer a coon. They won't do it. They won't say that he's a coon, he's a sellout. They won't say that the gang members in the neighborhood, the little kids that's running around tearing up the neighborhood, they won't call them coons. They don't call these rappers out there just pumping out filth coons. They don't call these ratchet women that's out here just selling themselves, they don't call them coons. They don't call the women that's running up and down to the abortion clinics coons. They don't call these men who just keep abandoning children left and right coons. They don't do that. They don't call those people coons. They call the other folks. And it's so clear and obvious that that's a huge problem because we're just turning a blind eye to the serious issues that are going on in the community. Until we're willing to sit down and admit that we have a problem and there's things that we need to admit that is wrong, then we need to then we really shouldn't be all up in arms at things that are irrelevant. I believe Brother Mercy that was called in earlier was stating something about we should hold police officers and all that stuff to a high standard. I agree. Anybody that that's a public officer, they should be held to high standard. But when it comes to an importance of what's hindering the black community, is we have to look at ourselves first. If there's something wrong with your house or something wrong that's going on inside your own house, I don't want to look to anybody else outside of my house first. I need to check my house first. And that's what we have to do. And when we really put a lens and a scope on what's going on within the black community, we have to be honest. And we have to address these issues and okay, we got to change some stuff. We got to start doing some things different. Our men have to step up and be leaders. They have to be more unafraid to be masculine, unafraid to be an alpha, unafraid to go out there and do what you have to do for your family, unafraid to go against the unafraid of these, the attacks from the woke contingent, being called a sellout if you don't worship, you don't call your woman a goddess and all this stuff. There's a lot of things we got to do, a lot of things we got to change, but the start of it is admitting that there's a problem, and the issue, it starts with us. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Has nothing to do with what's going on in other issues. We can't always look, well, so-and-so doing this or so-and-so that. I'm not worried about so-and-so. I'm worried about you and what you're doing. That's what our focus should be. And once we start doing this, I promise you a change could begin. I promise you a change can begin, but it all starts with us being honest with ourselves, knowing the people that we're listening to, we're taking advice from, the people who are quote unquote leaders. You can't be respecting the person just because they're a celebrity. So that doesn't mean they have their best interest at heart. A lot of people, and maybe we can touch on this another day. A lot of these celebrities, these black celebrities, are poverty pimps. They are poverty pimps. These people are black millionaires on television, telling you how bad your life is and how bad the world is, how the world is so much against you, yet somehow they're millionaires. Well, how are you a millionaire and I'm not? It's because they're poverty pimping. They're probably trying to sell a book. They're probably just, trying to get on TV. And all, I can go on for days and days and days. I'll leave off with this last message. I read the in Proverbs about justifying the wicked and condemning the just, and just let that resonate within your soul. Pray and meditate on that. And I appreciate the platform. I love all you guys. You know how it is. And look, and if I'm a coon or a sellout or Uncle Tom or Buck dancing, I don't care. So be it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell the truth, man, the truth over everything. Y'all know how we get down at ABT, man. That's all I care about. But that's all I got, man. Peace.
Man, thank you, Antwan, brother. We love you. We appreciate you. And when it comes to the ABT family, man, I love everybody there, man. You guys have always been well respectful, and you guys have embraced me and have welcomed me in the circle, and I appreciate that. And you guys are always welcome to come to the Man Up segment. Brother Kevin, the floor is yours.
Appreciate it, Brother BA. And just for my closing statements, I first want to thank you, my brother, for having Antwan and I on. As you just said, we're ABT brothers, man, brothers in Christ. Sal, as always, too, I want to thank you for the platform, man. You've been doing this thing for years consistently. Your work ethic is to be respected and admired as far as I'm concerned. Now, on to my closing points. I think ultimately, if we boil it all down, like somebody might say, okay, what's the takeaway, fellas? Like, this has been a great conversation, but what's the takeaway? In my opinion, the takeaway is personal responsibility. No matter what walk of life you come from, if we don't take personal responsibility and take action for our own life, then we're not going to be able to accomplish anything. And we live in a country where even for those of us in the worst of circumstances, we can change it around, especially those of us who believe in the Most High God. Prayer is effective, but prayer and taking action is powerful. We see in the Bible several examples of this. One in particular where Naaman, the Syrian, had leprosy. Now he wanted to be healed of his leprosy, and he sought the prophets of Israel in order to see what can be done about his illness. Elisha had told him, hey, if you want to be healed of your leprosy, you have to bathe 7 times in the Jordan. Now Naaman had a problem with that because he didn't respect the Jordan River. He felt that the rivers in his own country were much better, much cleaner. So like, why do I gotta bathe in this nasty river? But some of Naaman's comrades that had joined him had said, hey, listen, if you were asked to do something that was way harder, you'd have did it. So why not just bathe in the river? Of course, I'm paraphrasing. Ultimately, Naaman ended up bathing, and he bathed 7 times and he was healed. What's the point of this lesson? The lesson is after he sought a solution, after he desired a solution, he then took the necessary steps in order to get the result that he wanted. A lot of this works with our prayers. If we want to be lifted out of our situations, we're in a bad neighborhood, we got a poor job, right? Prayer is effective, but prayer and taking action is even more effective, especially if that's what God requires. If our prayers aren't being answered in our inaction, then maybe we should take action while keep praying. One thing to want to read is the definition of a competitive analysis, because as black people, one thing that we do a very poor job of, but we can do better, is we need to take inventory, take stock, and study other cultures around us. See what it is that they do great and implement that in our lives. What they do poor, shun it. What we do poor, shun it. What we do good, keep it. So here's
here's what the definition of competitive analysis is. In any successful company or any successful product will do a competitive analysis. But here's the definition. This is from I think encyclopedia.com. It says competitive analysis, identifying your competitors and evaluating their strengths to determine their strengths and identifying your competitors and evaluating their strategies to determine their strengths and weaknesses relative to those of your own product or service. There's a lot of things that other nations of people, other ethnicities in this country do well that we have to adopt. How many times are we going to have Arabs, Indians, Asians move into our communities and thrive? What is it that they're doing that allows their people as a collective unit to be successful? Because if we can learn what they do, we can implement that into our culture, our communities, and thrive like they have thrived, right? And the things that we're doing poor, like destroying our own communities, selling drugs, you know what I'm saying, like not having intact family units, these are things that we have to kick out of our system and get back to having a strong family, get back to loving one another, not tearing up our neighborhood, as my brother Antwan said. So I think if we do these things, which is all under the umbrella of taking personal responsibility, because the only way that any of these things get done is we have to take personal action. Once we do that, then I think we'll be on solid ground. We'll be on solid soil, and we'll be able to thrive as a community. So that's it, Brother BA. Back to you. Appreciate it.
Man, thank you, Kevin. Powerful words, my man. I appreciate you. And with that being said, Sal, any last words?
Man, my mic is jacked up, brother.
All right. Well, my last words are this. Like Brother Kevin said, personally as individuals in our own households, make it a point to do better. And hopefully, after we get a chance to take care of our own personal households, we can be much effective to those on the outside. But with that being said, we'll fall back. Take it away, Sal.
Brother B.A. Ben Abraham, and I'm your host of the Man Up segment on Debate Talk for You platform. The objective is for all brothers from different walks of life to come together, link up, and build on matters concerning all various stages of life. If anyone would like to reach out on concepts and ideas, you can reach Brother B.A. at radicalrhyme1984@gmail.com. Again, radicalrhyme1984@gmail.com. Tap in. Let's build. Shalom. Shalom.
Welcome to the planets of debates. Debate Talk for You Radio.